By a matter of fortune, we were talking 2 days ago, you were coming to Portugal, we challenged you to come, you accepted. Thank you so much, Mev.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's an honor for us to have someone with your experience, your career.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you for everything. And so it's a pleasure to be here with you. We already saw the museum, we signed all the games we had. So now let's talk a little bit more about some of those games, about your career, and obviously also about what you've been doing, promoting the gaming industry in your home country and all that. So
I've missed several questions. Perhaps some of them are more important than others. But let's introduce who is Mev Dinc. I know that you are a veteran game developer. Many people maybe don't know who is Mev Dinc, but know what in your games. Can you tell me a little more about you?
Actually, I'm one of the luckiest developers in that, especially the press, all the magazines know my name because I spent special effort to give the journalists time. I always showed my games to them, rather than like Activision, Ubisoft. They always use the PR girl to present their games. Whereas they would visit me, the magazines would come to our offices, and I would tell them a lot of things. Otherwise, they wouldn't know, you know. And amazingly, most of my games, almost all my games, appeared on magazine covers, which is an amazing thing to achieve. And even the president or managing director of Activision, you know, would say, how do you do that? Manage this? You know, are you paying them? No, I said, I'm not paying them. I'm spending quality time with them.
Being human, giving human touch to them.
You know, as you know, my gaming career started in the UK by a complete accident. It's a fascinating journey. I even wrote a book about it.
Book that we can see there and that we're reading.
Maybe I can.
Yes, please.
Is it in the shot?
It is in the shot, and we will be putting the link to it because it's fascinating to.
And I'm going to buy it because I think
you don't have it yet.
Okay. Anyway, incidentally, all the proceeds from the book goes to charities.
Yeah.
So I don't get a penny. So I know we're advertising the book, but it's for a
no. It's even more because of that.
And also, it's a fascinating journey, even if I say so myself, because I tell my story, my journey into gaming.
Yeah.
It's 1 in a million. I know you read some of it.
Yes, I did.
I have no interest in gaming or computers, no knowledge either. So, by complete chance, I ended up buying my first computer, ZX Spectrum. That's why I'm here today.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
So in '82 they would launch the ZX82, but became famous as the Spectrum that we all know, and the micro drives, the joysticks, and all that.
Look at the size; is amazing.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
And here,
that's how I use.
No, I think the design of it, it's something that makes it so special.
Everything about it. Even this.
The rubber key also.
Yes.
The touch. Some people don't like it. I love it. I had 2 of these since my childhood. Those were my Spectrums.
You know, I lost mine.
You did?
Yeah, it's so sad. When I moved to Turkey,
okay,
I have no idea where it is. It's so sad.
Yeah.
So that Spectrum changed my life, as it did for many others. And it's an amazing thing, you know. My life changed completely.
Okay.
I was working at a factory with almost no English, you know, having come from Turkey, married to an English girl who couldn't speak Turkish, nor could I speak English.
Yeah.
So it's just like my gaming journey. Even my life is strange, you know. so I ended up learning all about the spectrum and programming, all by myself, just in 2 years. From one book.
It's the one that is on the book?
Yeah, I think it's
from Melbourne. The ROM is I don't know if it's the ROM disassembly, but it's one of those.
No, it's called Sinclair ZX Machine Code Programming for the absolute beginner.
Oh, yeah, I know which one it is.
So I was the absolute beginner, so I thought...
Bruno, go after it.
Someone wrote a book for me.
Vê se eu encontro.
And then one...
Olha este.
And one magazine. That's the one.
Yes, nós temos isto lá no... Queres levar?
And one magazine called Popular Computing
Weekly, yeah. PCW. Yeah.
Why
magazine newspaper, it looks a lot like...
Yeah, but it doesn't know the quality.
Yeah.
But the reason I was interested
because
it was weekly. I couldn't wait for a month for the next issue.
Yeah.
Because it was every week, like 4 times a month, you know.
Yeah.
And interestingly, you know, it wasn't just about games, but it was about programming.
Mm-hmm.
And in one issue, there was a small article by some young guy. And it literally, the summary of the article was, if you want to become a successful games programmer, forget about BASIC, it's very slow. You must learn machine code. Because I was so far from the whole concept. I said, that's what I'm going to learn. I don't know the difference.
If I need to learn one of them, let's go for it.
I don't know which is quicker or easier or harder, because I'm so far removed from the whole concept. So that's what I did. I learned machine code. I never did anything in BASIC. I know nothing about BASIC. As obviously Rumi will testify, machine code is like it was a 10-12 set of instructions.
Yes.
So little information.
With registers. Yeah.
And I found it fascinating. With such little information, you create so much, you know? So many people, almost at my age, some even older than me, after reading my book,
they said I use it.
Yeah. I use Spectrum. I was
for accounting.
Working at a government official or some office, and they did some program to help solve some problem. Yeah. It's amazing. So it was used for many.
It was used for many things. I'll show you a couple of examples after.
What was your first job or your first project in the game industry?
Well, it took me 2 years to learn it. Of course, while I was working at the factory, because I didn't want to leave my job. You know, I was married. I even had a small...
So it may ring a bell.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, Spectrum machine language for the absolute beginner.
Yes.
Anyway, so in the 2 years that I spent time learning the Spectrum inside out and also programming, assembly programming, I didn't know anyone. And at the factory, nobody was interested in computers or games, apart from Santos. And Santos was really keen to become a developer. He never made it. But he influenced me and I became a programmer because of him. You know. I've always been very grateful to him. I must share this with you since you're recording this. So we went there, of course, we bought the 16K Spectrums. And a week or two later, 48K version came out. And Santos said to me, there is a 48K version. I said, what's the difference? I have no idea, you know. 16K for, I said, what's the difference? I said, what you what's this? He said, 3 times bigger. It's more memory. Still, you know, I don't have
and for him was 48 times more than the ZX81.
Exactly. So, and he said, we need to get those. I said, let's go back to the factory.
Which was in Cambridge, right?
Yeah, Camberley. It's near London.
Okay.
So anyway, we drove there, and I never figured. We walked in, and I said to Santos, I said, let me talk to the girl at the desk. There were so many 48K Spectrum boxes everywhere, you know? And I said to the girl, I said, look, we ordered 48K, but we got 16K. it was so busy, so crowded. And she said, just put it there and take one from there. And I tried to sort of pay the difference or something, and she just said, look, we are too busy, just
go away.
And leave.
Go away.
And Santos couldn't believe it, you know, we got the 48K upgrade for it.
Without paying anything, yeah.
So I made a couple of programs while learning. I made the first professional thing I did was an editor, graphics editor.
Okay.
Because my English wife, she could draw beautifully. She was an artist, and I thought if I write a special graphics editor, I could ask her to draw. Because
and then you can.
I cannot draw a stick man. I'm really bad at drawing. You know? So I ended up writing an editor, graphics editor, and I attended a computer fair in London.
Okay.
In 1984. It was so primitive.
84.
Like on small desks, you know, publishers would have games, you know, presented. It's amazing. And I met British Telecom Soft.
Okay.
Firebird. Yeah, Rain.
Yeah, Firebird.
They were called Rainbow. You know,
yes.
No, Rainsoft.
Okay.
And I met the young managing director. He was probably only a couple of years older than me. And I showed him my editor on the Spectrum, and he was so impressed with the presentation, the execution, and that gave me a lot of encouragement. He said, are you working on a game? I said, yes, I have an idea I'm working on. He said, please bring it to me when you're ready.
Okay.
So I left, and I continued working at the factory. And then after 2 years, when I felt really confident that I knew enough about the Spectrum and enough about coding, I could actually make my own games. I left the factory. Yeah, it was amazing, such a risky move. And I, of course, I share many details in the book, so I cannot...
No, we don't have time here for that.
Yeah.
No.
But eventually, the managing director I met signed the game.
Okay.
Jerry the Germ.
Jerry
the Germ, you first.
It is regarded as one of the toughest games in the world. But Firebird did a Commodore 64 version of it. Of course, we did. And it's floppy version, disk.
Okay.
And it became a cult game in the States. Okay. To this day, I don't know why.
I don't remember the name, to be honest.
Americans don't like difficult games.
Yeah.
And I got royalties from that game. So I learned so much from my first game. I learned the importance of royalties, owning copyright, IP rights. So I owned IP rights of all my games.
Okay, you still own them?
I sold them.
Oh, you sold them?
2-3 years ago to an American company.
Okay.
And I use this as a good example of how important it is to create your own IP
portfolio,
and keep it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how my journey started.
So, but then you...
1985.
1985. Then you stopped working for Electric Dreams.
Yeah. At the time I was living in Southampton, in the UK.
Yep.
And Electric Dreams was based in Southampton. And the guy who set up Electric Dreams, Rod Cousins, is one of the biggest names in our industry in the UK. He was running Quicksilver.
Yes.
Amazing company, one of the best and first brilliant developers. And because I was in Southampton, I did Jerry the Germ, and I was just about to start
Prodigy. Yeah.
This is like the first scrolling isometric game.
Okay.
It was scrolling. It was a proper 3D game on the screen.
Okay.
As you can see from the screenshots. Again, very tough game because I couldn't play games. I couldn't adjust the difficulty. Technically, I made my games very competent, very impressive. One magazine gave it 10 out of 10.
Okay.
But it was very tough. So Rod Cousins heard of me through Jerry the Germ game.
Okay.
My first professional job was actually helping with the conversion of 3D Ant Attack.
Yes, and
Sandy White's famous
For the Commodore
64.
to the Commodore 64, yes.
That's how I met Rod Cousins, sorry.
Okay.
So you were already working with Zometric games?
When I left the factory to do my games, this Indian UK-based guy, just like Santos,
yes.
he was Jamaican, Indian, British.
Yes.
This Indian British guy, he was a programmer, he didn't know anything about Spectrum. And he was given the job of converting the amazing 3D Antitype Commodore 64. And he said, I don't know anything about Spectrum. So I put an ad in the local newspaper. And I saw the newspaper article. I share all the details, I'm just going to...
Yeah, of course.
And I responded to him, I found him, and I said, look, I know Spectrum, I can help you. So he gave me a job.
Okay.
And I said, you need to give me a letter so I can take it to my factory management so that I can get early retirement.
Okay.
So that's how I left the factory. Okay. So that's when I met Rod Cousins.
Okay.
And then they wanted my next game. We were so lucky. They didn't even know what I was going to do. They said, we want you to work with us. So we ended up calling it Prodigy. I remember, I share all the details in the book. I called it Nejo.
Okay.
Like my son's name.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And they said, well, that's like, sounds like nothing, you know. So we ended up with Prodigy, which is a nice game. I love the music for Prodigy. I wrote the music driver and the editor for.
Okay.
Because in the old days, each game was a game engine.
Yep.
Graphics editor, sound driver, everything. We had to do everything. And the title tune, Prodigy, is like the first techno music in games industry.
Okay.
There's a QR code in my book, so you can actually listen to the music.
Prodigy is 48K or
148K.
48K.
But they also, of course, it was compatible with 148K.
Yes, of course.
And it was called MD Software, like my initials.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mev.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is my second game. Mm-hmm. After this, I ended up doing Enduro Racer, one of the most famous games on the Spectrum. The original Spectrum developers, for some reason, they didn't want to do the Amstrad version. And Amstrad was very important for the UK market.
Yeah.
And especially for France and Spain.
France, yes.
Mm-hmm. And Spain.
In Spain, yes.
Yeah. And I didn't know this. Amstrad wasn't very big in the UK because of Spectrum.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rod Cousins, they said, you have to help us. They don't want to do it. You're the only guy who can do it. And I looked at the game and I thought, I can't do this amazing 3D bike racing on the Spectrum. Yeah. I said, I cannot do this. I'm thinking. But they were saying this is very important for Activision. And it was like Christmas time.
Okay.
Said, we need it urgently. I said, what you mean?
Christmas is always
it's like the most important release date, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, cut a long story short, hopefully people will read my book, all the details. I managed to emulate the Spectrum on the Amstrad, because I was using Amstrad as my development system.
Oh, yeah.
I knew Amstrad very well, and I did all my Spectrum games on the Amstrad as well.
Yes.
It would take me like half a day, you know? That's how I did it. I didn't do anything special for the Amstrad. That's when Amstrad bought.
Yeah, they bought it in this model, in 86.
I had the one with the disc.
It's this one, 6128.
Yes, that's it.
Which is a clear influence to this
3-inch disc.
Yes. But the Spectrum also had this +3 with 3-inch disc.
I use this as my development system.
Okay, nice.
I developed on this.
On this, and then you...
And with the card interface,
okay,
downloaded the finished code to the Spectrum.
Oh, nice.
If it crashed, just unplug it and start again, because code was here. So I thought, why don't I simulate the Spectrum code exactly and run it, all the driving model, everything, track creation.
Okay.
It was like emulating, Spectrum on the Amstrad. The only thing I had to change was the I/O routines, keyboard and whatever, and sound. That's all.
Okay.
And
almost identical version.
And the original Spectrum code, 80 or 90% of the code was running on the Amstrad. And it took me 3 weeks. And of course,
In time for
I
Christmas.
couldn't believe it. Yeah, it's really. I finished it well before Christmas.
Well before.
They paid me a lot of money.
Good.
So with that game, I really cemented my name. I became one of the most important Spectrum programmers.
I don't know in which phase it appears, and probably you have on your list, but we spoke about it in Europe. There's also the involvement in Super Hang-On.
Super Hang-On, I think I did music or something. I can't even remember.
Okay.
The guy who did Super Hang-On was an amazing programmer. What was it? He had this strange name. He was originally from Iran.
Okay.
Zizi or Zad or something. He had a weird name. Nobody knew who he was.
Okay.
We were very close. We became good friends.
Nice.
And I helped him a little bit with things and also did the music.
Okay.
They used my music editor and drive.
But then you...
And I did enjoy it, so I became very well known in Europe.
Okay.
In France and Spain.
Because of
then the System 3 guys.
Then, of course, when I did Enjoy Race in 3 weeks, Activision came to me and they said, you have to help us again. This time with Last Ninja. Last Ninja came out on the 64. Huge game. Even I knew about it. I never played any games, but I knew about Last Ninja because it was such an amazing achievement. And I said, look, I'm fed up with rescuing projects. I want to do my own games, But then I thought, well, Last Ninja is such a big title. And then I heard they were just about to start Last Ninja 2. And I met Mark Cale, the managing director of System 3. And I said, the only way I would get involved is if I do Last Ninja 2. Because Last Ninja 1 is like beyond rescue. They already spent 8 months. And it was far from being finished. It was like a horrible demo. It looked awful. And it made the Spectrum look really bad. I said, I couldn't help this, I said, it's beyond help. But I'm happy to work on Last Ninja 2 from scratch. I don't want to do a conversion. I'll get involved with the design and I do this coding from day one, my own code, and work with the 64 team. And they accepted it. I convinced them.
So that's why the Spectrum does not have the Last Ninja.
The Last Ninja.
That's why they,
so
because I said, look, we're going to waste 8 months, 10 months doing Last Ninja. I can do Last Ninja 2 along with 64, and you'll have a bigger success. And that's exactly.
I remember that I was trying to find the first Ninja.
Because System 3 kept advertising. It's coming soon. In the end, I convinced Mark Cale to put ads in all the magazines saying we are going to kill off Last Ninja 1, but we're going to do Last Ninja 2 together with the 64.
But the game was huge. I remember in all magazines. The cover is amazing.
The cover is.
I remember that the readers of the magazine, they sent lots of maps of the game drawn as drawman.
Again, I went to all the magazines myself to show the game. It was amazing. Newsfield, email. I had such a brilliant relationship. We were on the cover. Normally, if you get 2 pages, it's a big achievement. I used to get 4 or 5 pages because I used to tell them so many details, like with the 48K Spectrum. I told them that I had 1 byte left on Last Ninja 2, and I went to Mark here and I said, Mark, I've got 1 byte left. Would you like me to add more? And he got really excited because he's not a programmer. I don't know what he thought I could do. So what can you do with it? I said, whatever you want.
With 1 byte.
But then you found your first company.
It
was Vivid Image.
When we were working on Last Ninja 2 with the 64 team, namely John Tweedy, one of the best Commodore 64 programmers ever. In fact, one of the best programmers I know.
John Tweedy.
John Tweedy was amazing. And Hugh Riley, probably the best 8-bit graphics artist. It's amazing. All the Ninja graphics, Last Ninja 1, Last Ninja 2, all the animations. He was a brilliant animator and pixel artist. we became such close friends working together. And I lived with John in the same house. And I told him from day one when I started, I said, I'm not going to continue working at System 3 or Activision. This is a one-off. I'm going to do my own games.
Yeah.
And both John and Hugh said, I would love to join you. So I said, okay, we'll finish this and we'll set up our own company.
Yeah.
And of course, it's like a film scene. We seek secret meetings with Activision. I share all the details.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up setting up Vivid Image with John and Hugh.
But it's funny, you always had the drive to do your own stuff. That's something that
is so important to
it's so important to you, yeah.
Yes.
That's very important.
So it was 1988. We signed the biggest development publisher contract in the UK at the time. It was a 5-year deal with Activision.
Okay.
Again, nobody knows this until they read my book, or knew this until they read my book. Activision had financial problems in 1991.
Okay.
They nearly went bankrupt. Yeah, but they're still going on. It's amazing, isn't it? So I luckily had a very good contract agreement. Like I said, I learned so much from my first game because I worked with British Telecom. They gave me such a good contract. So I sold First Samurai to Microsoft.
Okay.
Microsoft was the biggest publisher. And First Samurai became the game of the year on the Amiga. It was amazing, and it's still one of the most respected and remembered games. But unfortunately, because Microsoft went bankrupt, we couldn't duplicate enough copies and sell the game. It is one of the most pirated games ever. So I didn't make a lot of money, but it of course cemented our reputation.
Portugal is, let's say, the capital of piracy in terms of games. So
same as Turkey.
Okay, so there was no anti-piracy.
99%.
Yes. So people think they have lots of money in their houses, and what they have normally are tapes like this. We'll show you even of your games. We'll show you one or two. Here we don't have the, let's say, the one that looks like the official release. These ones are more peculiar. Stores. So you would go to a store in Lisbon and say, I want Last Ninja 2 and I want some other game, and they would say, okay, go for a coffee. Behind the counter they have things like that, making copies, and then each store would have their own tape and they would just put the name of what they sold you. So what does this mean? A person comes, they look here and they say, oh, I used to buy these ones, or I used to buy these ones, and it depends where they are from in the country. For example, this one is from Figueira, da Foz, so we know that. So this brings all the excitement to people because they recognize the tapes they used to buy. And we didn't know it was piracy many times because we paid for it, so we thought it was original. It even said instructions in Portuguese. And back in the days, anything with instructions in Portuguese was original.
In Vivid, you released several games for the 8 bits, for the 16 bits. For the 8 bits, I remember Hammer Fist.
Yes, Hammer Fist, Time Machine.
Time Machine.
Yes.
Time Machine is one of the late games from the Spectrum that is.
I think it was an amazing concept. It still could make a brilliant game today.
Yeah. But then you also focused on the 16-bit and then it comes for Samurai.
Yeah, I think I had the idea of feeling the changes. I noticed that the industry was changing every like 4 or 5 years, even in the early days. You know, of course, ZX80, 81, Spectrum happened very quickly, but 64, Amiga, PlayStation, you know, it was like 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
So I felt we had to keep up with the time, you know, and we were always very ambitious, technically, visually, of course, because I had Hugh Riley, John Tweedy, whatever, and originality was very important to me. And I also played with names, like I did Last Ninja 2, Last Ninja, so First Samurai. So I didn't want to do a ninja game, but I wanted to do Oriental game, you know, like another fighting game, but better than ninja. but completely different. It's not even an inspiration, apart from name.
From the name.
Yeah, even then I didn't use the name.
Yeah.
And so that helped marketing as well. Magazines loved the idea, even use the name, that kind of stuff. Consoles came in 1994, it's Street Racer. Again, world's first 4-player racing game. So I always enjoyed doing something before anyone else.
Yeah.
No matter what it was. It could be 4-player, first scrolling isometric game. It was like 1986.
Street Racer is for PS?
No, it's Nintendo SNES.
Oh, SNES.
Yes. And we took amazing.
We need to take it to our events. Street gaming events.
Mev 7.
Okay.
And I also enjoyed working with very small teams.
Okay.
Because I did everything by myself when I started. I never thought I needed big teams because I could do it myself.
Yeah.
So two people would be enough. One artist, one programmer.
So in this stage you were producing?
I was mainly producing. The only thing I programmed was in 1992, 93, Koenig's multi-system.
Oh yes.
Amethyst.
I spent 8 months,
For the
it was a really good version actually. There are a couple of videos in my book.
Okay.
You can see John Dean, my very good friend. He was at the head of software development at Activision. We're still very good friends. He was helping with the management and coordinating all the developers on the Koenigs. And he videoed me playing the game.
Okay.
And and then I just concentrated on design and managing. But I was very much involved. I wasn't coding, but I was always saying, do it like this. If I were doing it, I would do it. That kind of stuff.
And you still go to the magazines and to the press?
I did all the PR, all the magazines myself. The first summer front cover on the legendary front cover on Commodore format, Amiga format. 6-page article, unheard of, 6 pages.
Okay.
Yeah. Normally to get 6 pages you need to probably advertise like 2 pages. Nothing, no advertising. Because I have such a nice relationship, organic relationship with the magazines.
So you had a plentiful career in the UK, but then you decide to return to your own country.
Well, what happened was, like towards the 1990s, like PlayStation came out, like hardware got really impressive. Knowledge and experience got bigger. Like we were really developing ourselves too, not just developing
teams
games.
Probably got bigger.
We were developing ourselves. We were adapting very quickly and whatever. And in 1998, I developed an engine called Acta game engine. And Acta is a very carefully chosen name. Because when PlayStation came out, and then PCs were getting very powerful as well, and then I thought we could start making very impressive games, like maybe interactive films effectively.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So very thinking ambitious. And then I thought I should have my own engine so I could make the games that I want to make, like action movies, oriental. Exactly. And I developed the Acta game engine, and Intel was very impressed. We released an Acta technology demo in GDC in the States in 1999. Everyone was talking about it, even Crytek. Crytek wasn't even existed, They even sent me an email asking about Acta.
Okay.
Can we use it and all that, And I was getting emails from medical companies. Can we use this for training?
Okay, of surgeons.
Rehabilitation. It was amazing. Anyway, Intel was so impressed with it, and as you probably know, Pentium 4, the legendary processor, was released in 2000, June 2000. They asked me to make a demo to promote Pentium 4. That's how impressive Acta game engine was. It was the world's first 3D engine integrating dynamic physics.
Okay.
It was very impressive. You could interact with thousands of 3D objects along with the environment. And even from demo 2000 demo, you could see the screenshots. Even if they were in a game today, you could say, wow, that looks very impressive.
Okay.
And Intel used that demo for the worldwide promotion of
Pentium
4, which is a group, I'm very proud
of course.
Involvement. And then when I did Street Race with Ubisoft in 1994, and this is very important to me, I have a special relationship with Ubisoft because Street Race is Ubisoft's first professional game as a publisher, not Rayman. Rayman came after. And Street Race is one of my biggest commercial successes. It sold 500,000 copies just in Europe on the SNES.
Amazing.
At the time, SNES was dying.
Yes.
PlayStation was about to come out.
Yes.
And I put a character in from my Turkish culture. It's like Nasrettin Hoca.
Okay.
In racing games, you have like American 19-year-old whatever, Japanese whatever. And I thought, my origin is from Turkey. I put this Hoca thing. It's like a folklore hero.
Okay.
Very intelligent, very clever guy, But guys asked me, we were doing the instructions booklet. Said, how old shall we put for Hoca? I said, I don't know his age. Let's put 400 plus. And I think at the time, maybe I was thinking about possibly going back to Turkey. And then I sort of investigated towards the end of 90s. And there were a few games, amateur games, very talented people, but no game development, no economy, ecosystem, no industry. I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if I go back to my native Turkey and kickstart the gaming industry? That would be an amazing achievement it's a personal achievement.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
So
I'm effectively the father of the Turkish gaming industry.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, you kickstart the industry, but what was the first? You found Dinç Interactive.
Yeah, I thought I'll start with Dinç Interactive because I use my Turkish name. So that people can see this is not no imitation, this is like original.
True.
And I brought one programmer with me from the UK, Will Carlin. Okay. You know where he's working now? At Epic Games. He joined 2-3 weeks ago. He's one of the senior developers working, Epic Games announced Disney agreement.
Yes.
Doing Lego. He's working on that project. Yeah, he shared it on LinkedIn and Active Game Engine. He worked on Active Game Engine. I said, Will, you can come to Turkey, but you can only stay for 1 year.
Okay.
He said, because I said, I want to achieve this with the local talent.
Okay.
I want to prove to the Turkish community
that we can do what we are good at.
Yeah. And private business that it can be done with the local resources and talent. And that's what I did.
So you created your company.
I created my company.
You decided to go back. You had that personal objective.
Yeah.
You used all you could to show this was locally made. You brought some talent just to help to kickstart things. Where did you start? What was the reaction from the government? What was
the reaction from the government and generally from private businesses? Almost zero. But the reaction from young people, God, it was amazing. And newspapers.
Again.
So newspapers, TV. I was like interviewed all the time, and I'm very good with relationships with the journalist magazines from the UK experience. And I said, look, please slow down. I'm just starting. It's going to take 2, 3, even 4 years before I can.
But you announced it. Sure. You said, I'm going to do this.
No, I did not even announce it.
Okay.
The people said, Mev Dinc
he's coming back.
Set up a company and he's going to make games here. Isn't that amazing? And everyone wants to visit me, at a university campus. An office like this big.
Okay.
Yeah, with 2 guys, Will Carlin and one programmer, Turkish programmer. And because there's no industry, there are no experienced people to work with.
Yeah.
So I got lots of university students coming to me. And I had like 5, 6 people at the most. That was the biggest team I had.
Okay.
So they were learning from my experience and everything. And we did another demo for Intel, Pentium 4 2.2.
Okay.
We did that demo from Turkey, and that was amazing. And that became like huge news in Turkey.
Okay.
You know, this new company.
What happened to the engine? So you kept the idea of the engine, or you?
No, it's my engine.
Okay.
With that engine, of course, I wanted to make amazing action movies and things, but I ended up using that engine for the Turkey's first MMORPG game.
Okay.
In 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you were getting lots of hype because people knew you from your career.
And then once the magazines and newspapers and TV show interest, and I am the only face.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the interviews, and then suddenly people say, bloody hell, I played Glastonbury too. He said, Mev Dinc. I didn't know it was Mevlüt Dinç. You know what I mean? They didn't even know I was a Turkish guy. I never promoted it, you know?
Okay. And so what was the next step? Do your own stuff, do your own games and see how it goes, or?
Everything I was doing in Turkey was a first.
Yeah.
You know, it was very impressive. Both on people who wanted to be in the industry, both government people. God, this is something looks like very big or sounds like big. They were showing a lot of interest, but they didn't know what to do. But I didn't care, because I knew what to do. You know, I was very confident. That's the best thing I knew, you know. The worst thing that could happen, I wasn't successful, I'd go back to the UK.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So no risks really for me. And I had some savings from the success in the UK, and I was doing everything with my own money. In 2004, I realized that South Korea, very cleverly, was doing things towards online gaming.
Okay.
I said, this is the future. So I was quite visionary in that respect. I was adapting. And I said, all this parity, because everyone in Turkey around me, all my friends, said, you can make money in Turkey. Music, games, they're all copies. And I said, look, at the moment, I'm not interested in making money. I want to prove to people that we can create original games with the local talent, you know, with our resources and things. Anyway, with online games, I said, I'm going to solve the piracy problem. It's free to play, you know, you sell subscriptions and in-game items. So well before in-app purchase, we were doing it in 2004.
So this is a place to take some pictures and also to remember that.
In Turkey it was a big thing, piracy.
Okay.
You know, nobody wanted to pay money.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for this, of course, computer wouldn't have the same success.
I remember in 1991, I had to do my army service.
Okay.
I don't know, do you still have it?
It's not mandatory, but I went there.
In Turkey, now you can pay for it and you do 1 month or something. Okay. Anyway, 1991 was the year when I published First Zombie.
Okay.
It's Game of the Year in the UK. So the game is published, I went to the army. But in Istanbul, a friend of mine took me to a big shopping center.
Yes.
And at the very bottom, there was one shop that did exactly this.
Okay.
Pirated games.
Yes.
And sold them under the counter.
Yeah.
And because First Summer had just come out, I said, no way.
It's already here, no way.
Anyway, he said, let's go and ask him. So I went in there, I said, I think there's a game called First Summer.
From a guy called Mev Dinc, some straight name.
I said,
you have it already?
He said, how many copies do you have? I was shocked. And he even had a poster of the game.
Jesus. Did you sign the poster?
No, I didn't even say it.
Yeah, of course. It was an awkward situation. Yeah.
But did you have piracy laws, anti-piracy laws?
Who cares?
We didn't until '92.
But that's why in Turkey, when I started the gaming industry, in 2004, I did online games.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the only way you could kill piracy. I did 2 online games before Istanbul game, the big MMO game. I did one billiards game. It's regarded as one of the best billiards game ever. Okay. And I used the Turkish world champion. I didn't need him, but I used his name.
Yeah.
Right? And that was very clever because in the UK we did that a lot. Jimmy White snooker.
Yeah. I remember playing Jimmy White.
Yeah, and you've been someone's.
Gary Lineker's football.
Yeah. So I thought I can teach the Turkish community that we can do the same. Semih Saygıner was like very famous, 3 times world champion.
Okay.
And he loved it. He was such a talented guy. Just like Jimmy White.
Yes.
You know, Alex Higgins, snooker. Pure talent. He knew how the physics worked.
Okay.
And we did a brilliant simulation. It's literally regarded as one of the best billiards game ever. And it's online.
Okay.
In 2004.
Okay.
So you could play online snooker game, real time. And I can't even remember what the internet speed was. 64K? I don't know.
Yes.
And then I did online football management game. Well before Championship Manager.
Yes.
So I was doing a lot of firsts. And then with those 2 games, online games, I thought I could now do a big multiplayer RPG game, MMORPG.
Okay.
So that's how Istanbul came about.
So,
and that game is still active.
Still active till today.
The Istanbul game.
So, how do you see now the Turkish industry?
Well, until 2009, I did everything with my own resources, with my own money. And then in 2009, it's amazing, life is a game, really.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In 1985, I sold my first game to British Telecom. In 2009, 9 years after I returned to Turkey, Turkish Telecom bought my company.
Your company.
We used to have a company called Portugal Telecom, in case it helps.
That was the first time in the Turkish industry.
Yeah, yes, the first Turkish company sale as well in Turkey. Yeah. And I didn't sell it for money, although I got quite a bit of money. It's not billions, obviously. But I wanted to use the power and presence of Türk Telekom.
Yeah.
Türk Telekom is the biggest company, public company, privatized in Turkey.
Yeah.
And I really made use of Türk Telekom. And the managing director who bought my company at the time was such a visionary guy. He was from Lebanon, Lebanese guy.
Yes.
Amazing, very clever. But unfortunately, he left after 1.5 years. But I kept going, despite all the difficulties from the top management. They had no vision, you know.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the Paul Doyle, the managing director, they wouldn't have bought my company.
Yeah.
And I did ICANN Football, world's first 11 versus 11 football game, online football game. I created a game called Supercan. It's like Turkey's first children's hero. It reached 5 million gamers. 5 million is a massive, 2011 in Turkey. So I had to leave in 2013 because Türk Telekom management decided to merge the company they bought from me with one of the bigger group companies.
Okay.
It means like killing it.
Yeah.
And I said, look, this is still my baby, you know, I cannot stay and watch it being killed. So I left. But when I left, it was like the time the Turkish games sector was just about to rocket, skyrocket.
Yes.
It's amazing because there was so much happening in mobile gaming. I set up a mobile gaming studio in Ankara. You know the museum I mentioned?
Yes.
I was running that office.
Okay.
The guy who's setting up the museum.
Okay.
And I was doing a lot of important R&D projects outside gaming, like defense, earthquake.
Okay.
So that's why I made a huge impact in Turkey, not just in gaming. So a lot of IT people know me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? People in defense know me. And then suddenly, because of Türk Telekom, my selling the company, everybody said, well, this is something really big. and there were investments being made.
Okay.
There were a lot of talented people. Most of them probably worked for me, left, set up their own companies and whatever. And now Turkey is one of the biggest emerging markets in the world, especially in mobile gaming.
Yeah.
If you look at the top 10 games, half of them are from Turkey.
It's amazing. It's
absolutely
really
amazing.
This is something that we were talking at the restaurant.
Yeah.
What kind of advices you could give, for example, for a industry, Portuguese industry that almost virtually doesn't?
I think Turkey has the advantage of being a big country, huge population,
young population,
with a very young population, with a lot of enthusiasm, and also I think I don't want to sort of claim a lot of the success, but what I did made a huge difference. It sort of created a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
For like 25 years, it's almost 24 years now since I came to Turkey. It took some time, but it made a lot of people realize that this is something really big.
That it's going to.
It can impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, education, simulation. Because that's why it's important to note that I didn't just make games in Turkey. I was involved in educational software,
Defense,
Kids Hero,
yeah,
with educational content. It was like social responsibility. The Super Jam games, the first two were based on environment, protecting environment and recycling.
Yeah.
And I even managed to use Türk Telekom's influence and signed an agreement with Marvel.
Okay.
And all the Marvel heroes are in my game. It's unheard of.
Amazing.
Yes, it is amazing. So all these things like created amazing buzz.
Okay.
And a lot of people started getting into the industry. You know, not just to work, but also invest. Construction is still a huge thing in Turkey. A lot of construction businesses, they said, well, we can invest in gaming.
Sure.
I think you could do a lot with the schools. It all starts in the school.
Yeah.
Because the UK is the best example. The UK gaming industry is created by college students. You know, college students who had access to computers, they were the clever ones, the whiz kids they are called. They were amazingly clever. You know, I'm like nothing in comparison, believe me. They were really, really clever. And they left school and they became developers.
Yeah.
So it has to start in the school, you know, on the school ground.
Yeah.
Kids should get excited. Have you played this? Have you did this? I tried to program. You know, that kind of stuff is very important. So anything you can do, if you can get involved, kids at early age, you know,
it will make
primary school, middle school, college is more important than university. To me, university is too late.
It's too late already. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, because here in Portugal, there's a lot of focus on the universities. But then
in Turkey, I broke them.
In the elementary schools, for example, my daughter, I had to teach her to use Scratch to make games.
Yes.
So perhaps the idea of give that a possibility for the young students to start making games long before going to the university.
Our schools are the way we think is you only decide what you're going to do when you go to university.
Yeah.
So it's too late. It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
As I shared with you at lunch, like, I'm helping with Google Academy, an app academy in Turkey, and we reach 40,000 people every year.
Wow. Yeah.
And when they started, they were aiming at university, and I said, look, this is ridiculous. We should reach college students. And now,
and we saw very nice project, even in Cantanhede, we saw in that school very nice projects in that environment.
The competition is very important.
Yeah.
You know, to have like game jams, hackathon, that kind of stuff. Kids learn so much.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a shame that in Europe many countries haven't managed to make a mark in gaming.
Yeah.
The UK, France, Germany a little bit more than Spain is not bad now.
Okay.
In the recent years, they made a lot of ground.
Okay.
I think Portugal is fascinating. I mean, I spent a lot of time in Italy, as you know. There are amazing programmers there. Maybe it's the nice weather, maybe preventing you from.
We prefer to go to the beach. No,
because in the UK it's all that rain and grey.
No, it's. I think this is a very inspiring conversation also to us, because as we spoke, we are thinking how we can help, and so all of this helps us to define things that we can do.
And also the teachers are so far behind.
Yes.
You cannot rely on teachers to help the kids. Kids can help themselves. All you have to do is give them the environment.
The tools.
You know, like you say, you put the Scratch program at school, and during the breaks, let them play with it.
Yes, they do
instead of
many things.
Computer lab, with just computers and a couple of tools, give them Scratch and let them play with it.
Yeah. Okay. Mev, thank you for your time. Thank you for all of this.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for this amazing museum. Such a fantastic job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for keeping our work and memories alive.
We will do that for many years, we hope. And I'm sure we'll have the opportunity also to have you here in the future again with some of your friends and all of that. We'll make that happen for sure. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.